Let's talk about the Detroit Lions. This team's going to play the majority of their snaps are going to be played in 11 or 12 personnel, 3 wide receivers or 2 tight ends. They're going to use an extra blocker on you occasionally. We saw that extra blocker earlier in the season against, well, not earlier, but recently against Buffalo. Remember, Buffalo was playing with an extra offensive lineman?
Yes.
It's our old buddy Dan Skipper from Arkansas is the extra blocker they bring in. So if you remember Buffalo and how they used their extra blocker, it helped them in the running game. So I would anticipate that the Lions are probably going to look at their situation and go, well, we run the ball well enough, but if we have to put the extra blocker on the field, Dallas wasn't very good. They go unbalanced sometime with the extra blocker, and he becomes basically the tight end, and they try and throw him the ball. Like he goes out like a 6'10" guy goes out and tries to catch passes.
My gosh.
Pretty crazy, but that's the creativity that you have. This team does run the ball very well. They like to run the ball when Goff is under center, by the way. One of the biggest teams in the league. When he's under center, the number 69, 69% is they'll run the ball. So that's 4th best in the NFL, by the way. So when he gets, and the reason they do it, Goff and put him under center is they like to give these backs a lot of depth and let them have an ability to run. They want them to have a running start. And when you get in shotgun and hand them the ball, sometimes you don't let them have that running start. So if the Lions get into under center, there's a probably 70% chance they're going to run the football on you right there. So keep an eye on that one.
Pretty high odds.
Yeah, pretty high odds. They have some success running the ball off the edge like Miami does. Like 57% of the time, the metrics will tell you that they're going to run the ball to the outside. And 50% of their snaps go to the strong side. So they try and be a little bit balanced left and right, but they're generally going to run to the strong side of their. So when you talk about the strong side, that's where you have your most blockers. But it's one of the best in the league when it comes to yards after contact. So they've amassed 1,397 yards, which is only behind the Dolphins. So when their backs get hit, there's an extra 1,397 yards.
Yeah, Montgomery and Gibbs.
Contact, yeah.
Those are 2 super talented players.
Yeah, we'll get into those cats. Last 5 games, your quarterback struggled a little bit with pressure. Those games have been Minnesota, Denver, Chicago, New Orleans, and Green Bay. The Chicago game is interesting. I watched that one on tape. I was always curious because Goff has problems playing in cold weather and outside. So if somehow you can get him in that, they struggled against the Bears.
Should you saying open the roof?
I'm saying open the roof and bring in the snow blowers. Make that thing is cold.
And then just clear it as soon as your offense comes on the field.
Yeah, as soon as they come on the field, make sure it's snowing. But yeah, he's really struggled. He's 25 of 57 in the last 5 games for 313 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. That's when he's faced pressure. So that's something you need to keep an eye on for him. He is playing at a pretty high level, though. I mean, this guy can make all the throws. He'll throw the ball into some harm's way, though. Like between defenders and stuff.
The decision making's been a knock on him throughout his career at times.
He is a tight window thrower.
Is he? And I think Ben Johnson, because he's similar with the play action percentage.
Yeah.
He's very good with the play action design, and Goff seems very comfortable with that as well.
Loves playing that way. You're going to have to worry about one of their wide receivers and their tight ends. Amon-Ra St. Brown he's the kind of receiver that doesn't let the ball hit the turf. When it comes in contact with his hands, he's going to catch it. His consistency with ball skills and attention to detail are outstanding. He's super competitive, and you can tell by the way he plays the game that it's important to him. His, like I say, detail-heavy route runner. He hits all the footwork points. You never see him short on routes or anything like that. If he's supposed to be at 12 yards, he gets to 12 yards and makes his break. He can put a defensive back where he wants to and then take advantage of that by the way he runs the route, his spacing, the creases, the things like that. He takes advantages of all those things. He's going to look the ball in. He's going to snare it. There's strength in his hands. You're going to have to deal with him. He's a problem in these football games. They got a couple other guys that I think are decent receivers. Jameson Williams, I thought was going to be a much better player Yeah, he missed 4 games this year because of the gambling situation.
He's had suspensions, he's had injuries, and they keep saying they're going to try and get him more involved in the offense,
and
but it doesn't appear he is.
It just hasn't. He hasn't. I mean, I thought he was going to be a really great football player, but they just haven't got him going like they needed to. Did some research leading up to the draft about this next guy I'm going to talk about, Sam Laporta.
Mm-hmm.
And Laporta, there was some whispers, remember, that when we were working over there at the Star draft night.
A lot of Cowboy interest
that
there.
Dallas had interest. It's true. Dallas had interest. The interest came from Mike McCarthy, who was really pushing hard for this player.
Good eye.
McCarthy and then Linda Wells, the tight ends coach, both were pushing really, really hard for this guy. So is with Cowboys maybe considering him at the first round pick, as crazy as that sounds, might have been a pretty damn good pick.
Yeah, you'd have 2 elite tight ends with Ferguson and Laporta there.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy Laporta, he's thick, he's compact, he's got massive. He's got that lower body power we always talk about. Extra burst off the line, excellent burst off the line. He creates separation. He can draw mismatches. He's got a combination of strength and speed. He's a soft-handed player. He's got a solid catch radius. He can win contested balls. But he has had some drops this season, though. He's had 6 of them, which leads the team in drops. But he's a bulldozer with the ball in his hands, okay? He's going to catch the ball and try and kind of run over you. Need to account for him in a lot of ways. We mentioned these backs, Gibbs, Montgomery. They're both quality backs. You watch Gibbs play. It's like, we watch a lot of Stars game. It's like he's on ice skates, the way he just glides around the field.
Gliding is a great way to put it.
Light-footed. He does no restrictions laterally or vertically. Excellent tempo as he approaches the defender. He can set blocks up. He gains angles. I mean, he's just really outstanding. And there was questions about him or Bijan Robinson. Which one would you take? And they're both been outstanding players for you. So you're going to have to deal with quality running backs here. I mentioned their offensive line a little bit. I think the left side of their offensive line is a little bit susceptible to maybe some pass rush stuff. If they do have a problem, I do feel like, though, that Jonah Jackson and Taylor Decker on that left side, they work well together, but you see snaps where Jackson is having to cover for Decker. You see the pass rush, and he's having to kind of get over and trying to help for Decker. His eyes are always on the outside. Jackson struggled at times when defenders have attacked his left shoulder. A couple of times in the games I was watching, left shoulder gets attacked, and they were able to get through and get pressure on that. Decker's not the strongest left tackle, so he doesn't always set his feet. And when rushers want to bull rush him, they can walk him right back into the quarterback. So the left side of their offensive line might be something that the Cowboys can take a little bit of advantage of in this game.
And Penei Sewell's one of the best on the right side.
23 years old. The guy started in the league when he was 20.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy good player.
How much do you really want to put Micah on Penei Sewell? Go ahead and move him over to the left side.
He struggled with some inside rush, too.
Okay.
There was
and Micah's using that a lot.
Yeah, some inside rush was able to get Sewell. He's so outside conscious of not getting beat on the edge, but you could kind of take him down inside. I saw a couple of different snaps where he was struggling with that inside rush. So this team can run the football. The passing, when they get pressure, the quarterback can get a little skitty on you. But they've got outstanding tight end and a wide receiver. All right, we're going to talk about these Detroit Lions on defense. And I mentioned, I think there's a couple of places that you could probably attack, but I'll give you the particulars real quick about them. They're a very aggressive front seven. They like to attack the line of scrimmage. They like to bring pressure from the secondary. I've seen both safety blitzes from these guys at different time during the games. They'll bring linebackers as well. You have to be aware of this due to what happened in the Dolphins game. Cowboys didn't do a very good job of picking up those the linebacker blitzes. Didn't see any safety blitzes in that game or corner blitzes, but the linebacker blitzes were a problem. And the Lions will do that. And Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, he's all about trying to create pressure up front. And so he'll play a lot of zone coverage. And what's interesting is the metrics will tell you that they've played zone coverage about 67% of the time. In zone coverage this year, these guys have only allowed 5 touchdowns the whole season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's the third fewest in the NFL. So we will see. I've got a study going on, right, by the way, Zach, I've got all of Dak Prescott's games broken down, where against two deep, against single high, man coverage, zone coverage, how he fares. I need to pull that all together this weekend and do that for one of our segments here coming up.
That would be fascinating.
Yeah, just to let you know about how he attacks man and how he attacks zone.
So here, as you look at their defensive line, and I know you'll go through probably, but how are they in the middle?
Yeah, that's the edge is going to be the problem.
Okay.
But the middle is actually pretty strong when you look at in how they play. They've got a couple of guys that are that 330-pound range. Bento Jones and Isaiah Buggs are both their defensive tackles. Jones is not the tallest player. I think he's right around 6'1", but he's super wide. And he does a lot of the dirty work inside for the Lions. He anchors down well against the double teams and hustle, to kind of a sneaky speed when moving along the line of scrimmage. Buggs is like Jones, and he's massive. They're both, like, say, 330. And he does a good job of keeping his feet moving and head up to locate the ball. And they got power inside. So what they try and do is they try and push in the middle, and then they use this Aidan Hutchinson on the outside. And Aidan Hutchinson will likely play over your right tackle the majority. Now he'll move, but he majority of the time will play as the left defensive end.
Okay.
And so this is a guy, we all kind of have an idea of him. We've seen him before coming out of Michigan. He's a second-year player. He's kind of a long, tall, kind of a guy that towers over you when you watch him on tape. He's all over the field. He's always working to the action. He's a true nose for the ball. He's got really good hand techniques when it comes to like using his hands to get off blocks. He's got some upper body power to him. He's a little twitchy. For a guy so tall, you would figure that would be a little bit of a problem with him moving, but he gets off blocks. He's got a variety of pass rush moves, and he uses strategy. You can tell he's not just a one-trick pony rushing the passer. He's got strategies of how he's going to break you down. So the lower body flexibility, he can put himself in really some good positions. And so just going to have to account for him in this game. I think the most important thing of dealing with him is you absolutely have to play to the echo of the whistle with him. Because what will happen is if you just kind of back off a little bit as the play is continuing, he will find a way to make the play. He makes more pressures and sacks of just outworking people.
Okay.
Like they'll hold up in the secondary, quarterback holding the ball, and then now he'll find a way to get a pressure or get a sack because he just keeps outworking everybody. Like I mentioned, their linebackers, solid group. Jack Campbell. We talked with Zach Martin about him yesterday.
Iowa kid.
Yeah, and Alex Anzalone. Anzalone is if you talk about pressure, and the Cowboys struggled with the linebacker blitz last week, Anzalone has 26 pressures this year. That's the second most pressures by an off-ball linebacker in the NFL.
Wow. So
they're going to try and get him involved. I would not be surprised if they test the Cowboys early and often. If in fact that their blitz pickup stuff is on par, because he will definitely rush the passer. I mentioned Campbell. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy. He's like a quick downhill reactor. Really good instincts. Plays with great awareness. At times, I think he's a little too aggressive, and you could fool him. But he's powerful in that upper and lower body, which gives him able to separate from blockers. And coverage, he uses his length to impact throwing lanes. So when he drops into zones and stuff, you can kind of see he's using his length to try and keep the quarterback from throwing the ball over the top of him or underneath him. He's got really good range, and he can see and react to multiple threats when it comes to the passing game. But not as twitchy as like you probably like a linebacker, but really a powerful guy. All right, where I think you can make some hay. And by the way, in the secondary, this crew, they got the two of the best safeties you're going to play against all year. Melifonwu and then Kirby Joseph are the two that are outstanding. And then you throw Brian Branch in there as the nickel.
Oh, Alabama. They got him in the second round.
Yeah, and he has been outstanding. So these guys can create a lot of problems because what happens is they'll blitz Melifonwu, they'll blitz Joseph, and they'll blitz Branch. So now you've got safeties blitzing and a nickel blitz.
Wow. So
they're going to test you. They got the linebacker and then all these other guys. So when these guys are around the line of scrimmage, get ready for some type of pressure coming. And another thing with these guys is I don't think you could float the ball on these guys in coverage. If you're late, yeah, they're going to intercept. Melifonwu, Joseph.
Melifonwu had the game-winning pick last week.
Yeah,
gave him the division title.
They are branched. They're all really good with ball skills. So Dak has to be really sure where he's going with the football. Can't float it out there and hope for the best. Got to make sure these guys are ball hawks on the back end. Okay, the problem they have is I think you can attack this Cameron Sutton, one of their cornerbacks.
Ooh, that was their big free agent acquisition from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he really trusts his footwork and technique, but there were snaps where you see him lose his man, especially when he has to carry that receiver for any length of time.
Okay.
So as much as you can match anyone up on Cameron Smith, he wears number 1. I would take a shot at going that route. Because I feel like, though, that, again, he will find ways to not fully stay engaged in coverage and connected in coverage. They're hopeful that they're going to get back Jerry Jacobs back this week. They've kind of worked a couple of different guys at corner, but they're good at safety and they're good at the nickel. The corners, that's something that the Cowboys probably will need to take advantage of in this game.